Welcome to our webinar on data resources and expert tips for benefit cost analysis. This is the second webinar we have recorded on benefit cost analysis for the Phase 2 National Disaster Resilience Competition. The first webinar walked through Appendix H from the NDRC NOFA and discussed HUD's specific requirements and expectations for benefit cost analysis submissions, or BCA for short. Today we will be speaking more generally about what makes a strong BCA, tips to follow, traps to avoid, and some resources available to help. Please note that HUD is presenting helpful resources but does not endorse one reputable data source over another. My name is Sarah Jensen and I work in HUD's Office of Environment and Energy. I'm very happy to introduce two benefit cost analysis experts presenting with me on this webinar. Jody Springer is an emergency management specialist in the Benefit Cost Analysis and Grants Data Analysis and Tools Division at FEMA. Jody has been with FEMA for over 9 years and leads the development of FEMA's benefit cost analysis tools, methodologies, and trainings. He has conducted over 30 BCA trainings and provides guidance to approximately 800 questions a year through FEMA's Benefit Cost Helpline. While at FEMA, Jody has developed methodologies to capture ecosystem service benefits, sea level rise, and other benefits for analysis. Ryan Endorf is an economist in the Office of the Secretary at the U.S. Department of Transportation. He has been with the department for 2 years and worked on the last 2 rounds of U.S. DOT's popular TIGER grant program, reviewing between 40 and 50 BCAs each year. He also regularly works on and reviews regulatory impact analysis for proposed rulemakings for the department. His office conducts BCA training for new TIGER reviewers. Our webinar today will start with a brief overview and then move on to expert tips, lessons, and sources of data from FEMA and DOT. We will end with a roundup of BCA data sources beyond FEMA and DOT. There are several ways to approach economic or regulatory analysis. Examples include loss avoidance analysis, risk analysis, and benefit cost analysis, the topic of our webinar today. A benefit cost analysis is a consideration of the total costs and benefits of a project in present dollar value over the useful life of the proposal. The BCA is set apart from other analysis methods by this requirement to monetize costs and benefits and discount future dollars to present dollar value. The calculation itself is very straightforward. What takes time is setting the parameters of the analysis, defining assumptions, establishing costs and benefits, and gathering the data to support your work. Our two experts are here to share tips and resources on how to do just that, and I'd now like to hand the presentation over to Jody Springer at FEMA.
FEMA's developed a customized PC-based tool to assist communities in performing benefit cost analysis when applying for grants through FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance programs. The tool, guidance, and training materials are accessible at the link provided. FEMA incorporates standard values of service for several critical functions, especially during the time of natural disasters. For many projects, most of the benefits will come from other costs other than direct damages to a facility. Storm preparation, cleanup, displacement, and loss of use of a facility can generate a lot of benefits. The key to any good benefit cost analysis is not the analysis itself, but is the identification of all the possible benefits that a project will provide that is included in the analysis. Some analysis is 90% research and 10% calculation. Benefits can be thought of as avoided future cost once a project is implemented and put into place. Common costs FEMA sees in its benefit cost analysis are emergency response costs for first responders, police and fire crews, storm preparation costs such as sandbagging to protect a facility from flooding, and cleanup costs to recover after a storm and repairing a facility to a usable post-storm condition. Any cost that a project will eliminate should be quantified and used as a benefit of completing the project. A major component of a good analysis is thorough documentation. Value used in the analysis should be tied to a piece of documentation, either a standard value that FEMA or other federal agency provides, or some type of documentation, such as reports, receipts, engineering estimates, or other credible sources. This is important to ensure that the analysis can be replicated by others, such as the agency that's providing the grant or auditors. Document, document, document. Projects that are thoroughly and clearly documented have a much better chance of being funded as the analysis can be verified. Projects where the supporting documentation is unorganized, hard to follow, or not included may not be funded. FEMA uses the value of statistical life and abbreviated injury scale, also known as AIS, for benefit cost analysis when funding tornado safe rooms, hurricane safe rooms, seismic retrofit projects, and wildfire projects. The value of life could be included for flood projects if the applicant demonstrates that loss of life has occurred at the project site through inclusion of newspaper articles or letters from local authorities. The project would have to eliminate those future loss of lives. Including the value of life can provide huge benefits, but as you recall, extraordinary claims requires extraordinary documentation and justification in including these values. FEMA has recently incorporated monetized values for mental health treatment costs and loss of productivity due to disasters. The values above are one-time values that FEMA allows to be included in an analysis for mitigation projects. Treatment costs are allowed for every individual impacted in the project area, and that will benefit from the project completion. Productivity loss due to mental illness only applies to working adults that will benefit from the project completion. When conducting analysis, these values are allowed to be included only once and not for every year of a project life, as these values are spread out over a period of 30 months. These values are mostly used when performing mitigation for housing. The only documentation required are the number of people that the value will be applied to. In 2012, FEMA incorporated ecosystem service benefits for open green space and riparian area creation. FEMA currently only allows these benefits for acquisition-related projects funded by the mitigation programs. The total benefits provided in the table are the yearly value per acre. When used for FEMA acquisition projects, the benefits are discounted over 100-year project useful life at the 7% discount rate. When applying these values for projects by FEMA, applicants must provide documentation of the lot size through surveys or property records from the county assessor's office. As FEMA's mitigations goes, per 44 CFR, are to avoid damages to property and loss of life, the environmental benefits can only be included when a project achieves a 0.75 benefit cost ratio on avoided damages. The policy can be found in the link provided on the slide. Including sea level rise estimates. In December of 2013, FEMA released a guidance memo that allows inclusion of sea level rise estimates in the benefit cost analysis. Typically, this is used for acquisition and elevation projects of residential structures, but has also been used for infrastructure protection measures for critical facilities and services. FEMA requires the use of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers sea level rise estimates, which are provided in a link on the slide. NOAA estimates are also allowed. If an applicant uses a local or state-produced study, the study has to be considered reliable from an authoritative source and must be included with the benefit cost analysis submission for FEMA to verify and validate. Determining hazard frequencies. FEMA's benefit cost analysis tool includes hazard frequencies for tornado safe rooms, hurricane safe rooms through the Applied Technology Council's online tool, seismic, and wildfires. These frequencies are automatically pulled into the analysis based on project location entered by the user. Other projects will require the user to identify the frequency, specifically when using the damage frequency assessment tool in FEMA's benefit cost analysis software. The DFA module does include a frequency calculator. The limitation of the frequency calculator is the user must supply 3 events where there have been dollars of damages documented before the tool will calculate a recurrence frequency for the user. When providing the frequency of the event, it is important to provide documentation on how that frequency was determined, as the frequency of the hazard is one of the primary drivers on if a project is cost effective or not. FEMA provides frequency for some hazards as mentioned, but for other hazards, applicants must supply the documentation and determination methods. Identifying hazard frequencies. Links provided on this slide provide some good sources of information for hazards and frequency information. When applicants use other government sources of information, such as the information at these websites, the confidence of the analysis is higher. When using these resources, the analysis must include a printout of the relevant information for the analysis for verification. Assume the reviewer does not have access to your tools and your resources.
Thanks so much, Jody. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Ryan Endorf from USDOT.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Endorf, and I work at the U.S. Department of Transportation. I work in the Office of the Secretary in the Policy Office. And I'd really like to thank Sarah and the team here at HUD for the opportunity to come over and discuss DOT's experience with benefit cost analysis in our Tiger Grant program. Over the past 6 years, DOT has awarded 342 grants worth an estimated $4.1 billion in the last 6 rounds of Tiger, and our applications for our 7th round of Tiger recently closed, and we're currently reviewing those applications in anticipation of awards later this year. As part of the application process, our applicants are required to submit a benefit cost analysis, and as part of our review process, the department has a team of economists review all the analyses. And when we review these analyses, we're attempting to determine the likelihood that the benefits will exceed the costs. So at the bottom of the slide, you see a range of assessments. Benefits could exceed costs, benefits could be less than costs, and then 3 in the middle, which are uncertain. The vast majority of our ratings end up being in that uncertain category. It's rare that you see analyses where the benefits definitely, in our estimation, our view, exceed the costs, and rare that the benefits are clearly less than the costs. Importantly, we recognize that there is an uncertainty in any of these analyses, and we recognize that and try to apply that in terms of how we review the projects. So this slide provides an example of a description of projects and what we like to see when we get an analysis. We're looking for a complete description of the project. What is the status quo currently? What is the project going to change? We're also looking to see the costs and benefits outlined. We'd like to see them described, as if possible, especially the assumptions that are made. And we'd like to see spreadsheets that show calculations. Particularly, we find useful spreadsheets that are in Excel form. When we get spreadsheets that are in a PDF form, it's difficult for us to see the calculations as they go through the spreadsheet, so getting them in Excel is very useful for us. Baselines. It's very important to define the baseline because when you're trying to calculate the benefits, it's important to see what you're measuring against. So, for example, when you have a project, it's going to make a positive difference for the community, but you need a baseline to set the appropriate level for what the benefits are going to be. So the baseline is essentially what would happen in lieu of the project. So it could be that the status quo maintains, you don't have the project. It could also be that the conditions get worse. The most important thing is that it's realistic. For example, you may have a bridge project and the bridge may be structurally deficient. An appropriate baseline would not necessarily be to assume that the bridge is going to collapse in 2 years, but rather that the bridge is going to continue to be structurally deficient and that eventually the bridge would need to be replaced. So it's important to set a realistic baseline. It's also important that projects have independent utility. So if the project comes in and for example, let's say you're building a new dock because you're expecting a growth in vessel cargo. If you don't have an access road to the dock, that cargo isn't going to be able to get from the dock to other points on the mainland. So the project itself, just creating the dock, doesn't really have independent utility. Common mistakes we see are really that the baseline is unrealistic. So a common example in the transportation world is when we see projected traffic levels. We're interested in something that's realistic and not based on what the current growth rate might be. When you use a growth rate that is far too high, it inflates the benefits, and it's harder to take the analysis credibly. Another example would be to not consider the positive impact of other planned projects. So if another project has funding and is going through, your baseline should also assume that that's part of the baseline and is already there. For this last point here, claiming benefits from an entire project but only costs from the grant-funded part, it's really apples to oranges in our view. Our perspective is that if you're going to count only the costs for the grant-funded part, then you should only count the benefits from the grant-funded part. And alternatively, if you want to count the cost for the entire project, let's say your grant is only funding one component of your overall project, if you're going to count the entire cost of the project, then you can also count the entire benefits from the overall larger project. So another important thing is to define the affected population, and this is important for when you're calculating out your benefits. Often you'll have an affected population that may not be the entire population. So an example of this might be a transit project to build a transit station. The transit station is not going to generate benefits for the entire population of everyone living in that area. It's going to generate benefits for the subset that might actually use the transit station. So it's important to link your affected population together. It's also important that you consider alternative projects. So an example of this is if you're replacing a pier, you could compare an alternative would be rehabilitating the current pier instead of that new construction. So it's important to consider these as part of your analysis because you may find that the benefit-cost ratio is better for one compared to the other. Economic transfers are not benefits. So from DOT's perspective, we're interested in benefits from the national perspective. So what we aren't looking for is benefits that transfer from one region of the country to another region of the country. An example of this would be a project at a port in one state that would lead to new business growth at that port. If that new business growth comes from another port in the country, then from the national perspective, you're not really creating any benefits. You're really just transferring benefits from one port to another. Typically, job creation is one thing that we view a little bit skeptically in terms of as a true benefit, because often those jobs may actually just be transferring from somewhere else. And so in order to claim benefits from job creation, you need to really show that the benefits are not being transferred from another region of the country or from within the local community, but rather that that's actually an expansion, and then the project is really creating jobs that aren't moving from elsewhere in the country. One of the most important things that we tell our grantees is that and this is something Jody also mentioned, is that your analysis needs to be transparent and reproducible. We need to be able to see exactly how you derive the calculations and the numbers that you got to. Where did the benefits come from? Where did the costs come from? Where did the values you had come from? If you have assumptions, it's very important to provide the documentation for those assumptions so that we can look and make sure that it's realistic. Particularly if you're taking an assumption from the literature. Let's say for a project you're assuming that there would be a property value increase. It's very important that you provide documentation from where you get that estimate for property value increase as the result of your project. Particularly from the literature, if you use a number from the literature, you need to justify that it's appropriate for your community, because that form of benefit transfer can sometimes overestimate those benefits. Whenever you cite outside data sources, we really expect that you will present that information to us either in a link or just in wording, so that we can follow up on that and make sure that the number is correct that you're using. Finally, if you're using a prepackaged model for your analysis, we tell our applicants that we really need to see detailed explanations of this model and the assumptions that they use, as well as the inputs. It's really important that we see this because those prepackaged models use a number of base assumptions and inputs. They may not necessarily be appropriate to the project that it's being used for. So it's very important that we see and understand exactly how this model comes up with the the benefits and the costs and the benefit cost ratio that it has. So this slide provides a number of examples of transportation benefits that we typically see in our Tiger Grant program. There are 5 main areas: quality of life, economic competitiveness, safety, state of good repair, and environmental sustainability. We have guidance, a resource guidance that provides some values. So for example, our value of statistical life in the safety section is about 9.4 million, so it's a little bit higher than what FEMA uses. For economic competitiveness, we also provide and update annually values for travel time savings, and those vary depending on whether the travel is personal or business related, and then also by the mode of travel. So these are a lot of the main benefits. We also do use the social cost of carbon that the EPA comes up with. That's part of our resource guidance. Primarily, the largest sources of benefits we generally see are in the safety and then in the travel time savings area. You can also see large benefits from operational cost savings and potentially from property value increases. So for the costs, as I mentioned earlier, it's important that your costs reflect what you're measuring. So if you're planning to just count the costs of the grant funded portion of the project, then your benefits should also just be for the grant funded portion. Typically our costs are for capital investment, but we also expect that any operation and maintenance costs or rehabilitation costs, life cycle costs over the entire length of the project are also counted. Typically, a project will expect that the benefit cost analysis will go out about 20 years, or whatever the life of the project is. So for a bridge, it may be 50 years, but most of the time it's 20 years is pretty standard for us. And we expect to see costs out through then and also discounted either at the 7% or the 3% discount rates. Benefits should also be discounted at 7% or 3%. We like to see both just for comparison, but 7% is preferred. Sarah asked me to talk a little bit about the acceptable data sources that we see. So generally, data from government entities is acceptable. Every project is different, and so it's important to provide data based on what the project is. So local data is often preferred when it's available for our grantees, because they have the data on the ground, and a lot of our projects are located in communities. But it's also usual that local data can be inconsistent. So we generally accept all data from government entities. If you're going to use other data, you need to justify it. You need to provide documentation and justify to us that it's acceptable for use in your analysis. And as I mentioned before, be careful about using estimates from the literature. You need to be able to show that the estimates in the literature are transferable to your project and to your community. If they are not, then you could be overinflating what the benefits actually are. For some benefits, there really isn't adequate data to monetize them. We still accept those benefits, but we prefer that they're described qualitatively. And so ways you can do that are to discuss the affected population, who's going to be affected, explain the limitations, why you can't monetize them. Maybe you don't have a robust data source that you can use or that you'd be willing to cite. So discuss those limitations, and if you can, estimate what you think the benefits or the range where they might be. From our perspective, it's far better to qualitatively describe a benefit than to estimate a quantitative benefit that really has no justification or basis and is kind of coming out of thin air. So to conclude, the most important things we tell our grantees is always document and provide reliable sources for your data and calculations. Providing Excel spreadsheets is excellent so that we can follow your calculations. It's always easier for us to use the Excel to see perhaps where you went wrong, and it also allows us to adjust if we think that an estimate is a little bit too high. Second, be realistic in the assumptions and estimates that you use. Make sure that they're appropriate for your project. If you have benefits that you aren't able to monetize, there isn't a good estimate in the literature, there isn't a good data source, provide a qualitative discussion to supplement the benefits that you do monetize. And lastly, consider the viewpoint of the objective reviewers, in this case us. We're always going to be thinking whether your estimates are plausible and reasonable. So as you're doing your analysis, just maybe think about, if I were reviewing this from somebody else, would I think this is reasonable or plausible?
Thank you, Ryan. Jody and Ryan mentioned specific data sources and general guidance about the best data to use. Before we discuss additional data sources, let me reiterate that wherever possible, use federal data sources. These sources have been vetted and are accepted by other federal agencies. Another advantage of federal sources is that your federal reviewers likely have access to these data sources. Next best would be state, tribal, and local data sources. However, there may be other data sources more targeted to your project or your region, and as Ryan said, it may actually be preferable at your site to more national data sources. And you can use these as long as they are authoritative sources and that you cite and provide detailed information about where you got them. Examples could include academic papers, nonprofit research centers, or information from law enforcement or the fire marshal. For HUD NDRC applications, you might look for local and specific data from your qualifying disaster. Jody gave the example of using data on loss of life from your qualifying disaster in his discussion of counting the value of statistical life in a flood event. Don't overlook your scope of work as a source for much of your data. This is an especially good source for documenting your costs, project and footprint size, and project useful life. Let's go through a number of helpful BCA guidance documents and data sources. OMB is the Office of Management and Budget, and all federal BCA guidance stems from OMB Circular A94. The link is at the top of this slide. OMB also has a Circular A4 on regulatory analysis that has some good guidance on how to measure and monetize costs and benefits. And finally, OMB has a document called Principles, Requirements, and Guidelines for Water and Land-Related Resources Implementation Studies that the Army Corps and other agencies follow for their BCAs. Here's a summary of the resources Jody presented in his presentation. In addition, there are 2 FEMA documents described at the bottom that we have posted along with this webinar: FEMA Standard Economic Values and FEMA Sustainability Benefits Methodology Report. These documents are incorporated into FEMA's online BCA toolkit, but we have posted them here so that you can review and use this helpful information outside of the toolkit. Here are links to BCA guidance and webinars from USDOT. We've also posted a link to USDOT BCA case studies that might be helpful. EPA has guidance on BCAs that is more academic in nature. However, there's a lot of good information here, including case studies in the first link. EPA also has excellent tools that can help you define the baseline for your analysis. Both tools listed here are GIS-based and can provide information about current conditions at your site. The EJ Screen tool is newly launched and looks at detailed demographic data alongside environmental site conditions. NEPA Assist was designed to help with NEPA environmental reviews and contains many data layers including floodplain, seismic hazard, toxic hazard, air and water emissions, transportation infrastructure, and also demographic information. Jody discussed FEMA's approach to quantifying ecosystem services earlier. Here are some additional resources from EPA and the USDA Forest Service with links to data sources to help value ecosystem services. EPA defines ecosystem services as the benefits people obtain from ecosystems. These services are often critical for life and enhance human well-being. An ecosystem services perspective is an explicit acknowledgement that nature has value and that the value can be measured and used to support environmental management decisions or other project decisions. Also included on this slide is a link to USDA wildfire and climate change information. Both of these sites contain links to multiple sources of data on valuing ecosystem benefits. Some of the data is free and some is not. Jody shared FEMA's sea level rise policy earlier in the presentation. Here are some specific resources pulled from that policy and from other federal sources. As with other data, federal sources that have been vetted and accepted by other federal agencies is the best place to start. Choose the source with the data best suited for your project area and explain why it is the best data. We've included here links to NOAA and U.S. Army Corps data sets. We've also linked to the National Climate Assessment, which summarizes the current and future impacts of climate change on the United States. A team of more than 300 experts, guided by a 60-member federal advisory committee, produced this report. As you might imagine, there's quite a bit of detailed data for the Hurricane Sandy region. Here's some examples from the Army Corps and Global Change. If your region also has specific data that has been accepted by federal, state, local, or tribal entities, you can use that. We recommend that you submit the data along with your BCA. Ryan mentioned DOT's approach to social cost of carbon, and I've posted DOT's guidance on this slide at the bottom. Also posted is the White House technical support document called Social Cost of Carbon for Regulatory Impact Analysis, along with its 2013 update. These documents were put together by an interagency working group. If your project will result in a significant decrease in carbon emissions, this is a benefit that you will want to include in your analysis for the NDRC grants. FEMA has a tool called HAZUS, short for Hazards US, that estimates potential losses from natural disasters. I would like to ask Jody to discuss this tool and how it might be used in a BCA. Jody?
Thanks, Sarah. HAZUS is a computer software application, which actually stands for Hazards US. This tool specifically provides hazard estimation for hurricane, earthquake, and flooding events. The tool is available free on FEMA.gov, but does require ArcGIS and spatial analysis to run these estimates. HAZUS can be beneficial to estimate damages caused by flooding events, earthquake, or hurricanes, and we often see applicants using this information in benefit cost analysis performed for FEMA grants.
Thanks, Jody. Here's another resource that might help you define your baseline. The Baseline Resilience Indicators for Communities is used by the Army Corps when they set baselines for their BCAs. The Social Vulnerability Index is based on research by the Hazards and Vulnerability Research Institute in the Department of Geography at the University of South Carolina. This index measures a number of community attributes and puts them together into a score of social vulnerability to environmental hazards. Here's a map at a nationwide scale. Red represents highly vulnerable populations, blue represents low vulnerability. You can drill down to more detailed information on the website. This information could be helpful in establishing a baseline or in a qualitative analysis for your BCA. To sum up some of the best practices we discussed today, documentation is key. If you take nothing else from this webinar, please take this idea. When you submit a BCA, explain where your data comes from and why you chose it. Also provide your formulas and the basis for your calculations. Clearly state your assumptions. Also use reliable sources of data. Don't rely on Google. Work with federal data or talk to your state, local, tribal, or university partners for good data sources. Assume that the reviewer does not have the information that you do. Err on the side of more explanation, more attachments, and more information. Quantify and monetize data when you have relevant and authoritative ways to do so, for example, using guidance from FEMA, DOT, EPA, or relevant economic theory. Qualify your other data. It's also important to make sure that you follow the requirements set out by your funding agency. For example, you must follow Appendix H for the HUD NDRC grants, which lays out the discount rate and value of statistical life you must use in your analysis. Another example is a restriction on including ecosystem benefits for FEMA projects only when the base BCA is at least 0.75. That restriction definitely applies to FEMA, but does not apply to the HUD NDRC applicants. So follow the instructions from your funding agency, but you can pull information from other sources. As Ryan mentioned, many agencies that require BCAs for environmental mitigation or economic development recognize that there are a number of benefits stemming from these projects that are difficult to monetize. Examples could include some health outcomes, although many can be monetized, long-term ecosystem service impacts, social impacts such as the Social Vulnerability Index we mentioned, and education and outreach. These agencies, including HUD for the NDRC, allow applicants to submit qualitative analysis that reviewers can consider in determining whether benefits outweigh the costs. And remember, no agency wants you to make up information and stick it into your calculation. The key is to quantify as much as possible and clearly state your reason for including the benefit and the objective of the benefit. Let's look at an example. Here's an example with education. If a benefit of your project is developing a curriculum that will be taught to all third graders in your community, quantify how many kids will be taught and for how many years the curriculum will be implemented. State the objective of including an education component in your project. Also note that there is a cost associated with this benefit, the time and materials to develop the curriculum, and you must include that in your BCA if you're going to include this as a benefit. Another example might be job creation. Ryan mentioned the difficulty of counting salaries as a benefit in your BCA. This is a controversial topic, and if you plan to claim productivity or other job benefits in your BCA calculation, you need to document carefully how you are doing so and make sure you are not counting a transfer as a benefit. HUD in particular is very interested in job creation, which can be used to meet a national objective. If you are unable to monetize using credible economic theory, this might be an example of a benefit that you would want to include in your qualitative section for NDRC BCAs. Costs and benefits in your analysis will range from very certain, for example, first-year project costs, to very uncertain, for example, benefits based on avoidance of a future disaster. A sensitivity analysis takes uncertainty into account by asking, if a specific cost or benefit deviates from its projected value, what will be the effect on my BCA outcome? Take a look at the sensitivity of highly uncertain costs and benefits for your project. Running your calculation with an alternate discount rate is another form of sensitivity analysis. Running a sensitivity analysis can help you understand risks associated with your project, can help you consider alternatives, and can link to your NEPA review. To conclude today, if you have questions about a FEMA BCA, please contact Jody Springer. If you have questions about a USDOT BCA, please contact Ryan Endorf. And for questions about the HUD Natural Disaster Recovery Competition, please write to resilientrecovery@hud.gov. Thanks so much for watching our webinar. Goodbye.